What's up, everyone? This is Chris, back again, alongside my co-host, Crystal. This is the Pedal Dance Podcast, and today we actually have something really different. Crystal, what are we talking about?
Today we are just talking about the VGC and mainly relating to the Pokemon Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon series. We might touch a little bit on X and Y since they were also a part of the 3DS series. But since we are transitioning into the Nintendo Switch and into the 8th generation, we just thought it would be a great idea to have a recap about regarding the VGC, like what went well, what did not go well, what surged, what plummeted, what we hope would happen in Generation 8 VGC. So, one thing that is probably the most relevant to talk about was the most recent VGC World Tournament that occurred, I believe it was about a month or two ago. And we looked at the final matches in the Master Seniors and Juniors division. In addition, we also looked at Pokemon that were used at previous tournaments, people who did not finish in the final two, and just a real quick analysis. We noticed a trend in a lot of people using Intimidate and Incineroar. Of course, Shadow Shield with its unique Z move, Lunala. I believe the Pokemon's pronounced Serena with a silent T.
Yes.
Even though that was not as common as Incineroar and Lunala, that was on a lot of people's teams, which that personally was a shock to me, considering grass types are not defensive whatsoever when they're just grass types without another type. And we had a lot of sleep-heavy moves that relied on fast Pokemon like Smeargle, Chlorophyll, Venusaur, and others.
Amoonguss was still prevalent as well.
Wait, what?
Amoonguss was still prevalent as well.
Oh, yes. Of course, Amoonguss could use Spore, but oddly enough, it was mostly used as kind of like the new Follow Me with Rage Powder. I'm trying to remember who else was very prevalent. Usually one team had an Ultra Beast, Stakataka,
Kartana.
Yeah, the Kartana, Celesteela. Those were, I think, probably the most common that we saw throughout the tournament.
And also with the Tapus, the most used Tapu was Tapu Koko, followed by Lele. Not Lele, Finny.
Yeah. But of course they were used, but not as often this year, oddly enough. I think people just figured out how to counter them since they were so common. But
well, I was surprised to actually see Ludicolo in some placements. I thought that was really cool. Only a couple, but I mean, it was still there.
Yeah, Ludicolo deserved it completely. The biggest shock to me I saw was in the juniors division, someone had a Toxicroak in the final two match. Like, I didn't think Toxicroak would be really a viable Pokemon to have in this kind of situation. It has a times 4 weakness to a very common type, Psychic, and its stats aren't really very astounding or anything. So that was just an honorable mention to shout out.
Also, going along with Toxicroak did show up in the Masters. It just didn't make it to like the top 10 or top 15. But there were a few placements within like the top 20, top 25 that Toxicroak did have. But another one, there was only one placement. This one shocked the heck out of me. Jinx made an appearance. And in the Masters division, it placed 11th.
Yeah, that's definitely shocking to hear all the way to 11th, especially um, since moves like knockoff, sucker punch are very prevalent, and some shadow sneak here and there. And Jinx's defense is very trash, to say the least. And so that makes me wonder what that Pokemon trainer was thinking, since moves like that were very common. Um, but I mean, it does have a great typing. Ice and Psychic are my favorite types, so I'm glad that there is some representation with that. But yeah, it just makes me wonder why Jinx. What was their purpose of using Jinx? Do you happen to know by any chance?
I have no idea. Maybe to throw people off their game. I have no clue. It's just a shock to me as it is to you, just as much of one to me as it is to you. But yeah, that's the only placement for Jinx that I've found.
Oh yeah, like with at least Toxic Croak, I can understand. Count Toxic Croak's a great counter to Serena, and a lot more fairies are prevalent, so Toxicroak could have like a choice scarf and just one shot a lot of fairies.
Oh, wait a minute. I made a mistake, Crystal.
What mistake was that?
Toxicroak made it in fifth in Masters.
Oh wow.
And there was also a lot of Kyogre as well running around. Even some of Veltal and Xerneas as well.
Oh yeah, Kyogre and Groudon. Oh yeah, thanks for mentioning that. I mainly saw Xerneas between the two because of its Geomacy move, and they were holding White Herb so that way they can just suck it all up in one turn.
Was it White Herb, or was it Power Herb?
Um, I know I'm ashamed to the Pokemon community. I can't remember. Maybe
I
I
think
think
it was Power Herb.
yeah, that sounds right. I'm just used to seeing White Herb more often, but yeah, that was a very common item for Xerneas to hold the Power Herb. That way, it can Geomacy in one turn and essentially act as a special a shield, be a special sweep with the speed boost, essentially to be as invincible as it could be. And there were a lot of sweeps with that, I've noticed.
And as we'll see here in a second, it actually made its way up into the Masters Division final match. And that's the match that we want to cover. This is the 2019 Oceania International Championships for the Masters. This is the finals between Eduardo Cunha and Luke Curtel. This is the main match that we wanted to cover today. Do
Oh
you
yeah,
remember?
it
Do
was.
you remember?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you go ahead.
And it was definitely an interesting match. This is both a good thing and bad thing that I want to point out. Their teams were exactly the same Pokemon. I mean, they were probably raised slightly different in different styles and training, and I think possibly different held items, but all six Pokemon were exactly the same. And for me, I think that's cool because of the factor of coincidence. However, I don't like it when Pokemon starts becoming um other companies and other games that I will not mention by name, but you all know which ones I'm probably talking about, in which you have to have A, B, C, D, etc. Pokemon in order to win these kind of tournaments. Everyone was packing Incineroar, Xerneas, and Ultra Beast. More specifically in this match, they both had Stack Attack, Aka. Um, but it was pretty interesting. The first match essentially ended in a one-on-one a Stack Attacka versus Stack Attacka. They had the same move set. I believe they were raised the same as well because one Stack Attacka moved first, the other one moved first occasionally with without Trick Room. So it made me think that they had like a relaxed nature or possibly a brave. But anyways, they both had Trick Room, Protect, Rock Slide, and Gyro Ball. Um, but it just reminded me a lot of the Ash and Samurai Metapod versus Metapod match.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm
Is that
so glad I wasn't the only one.
so? Yeah, you were thinking that too.
Yes.
I will admit I had to fast forward through that recording. Just they were getting nowhere with Protect, weak rock slides, and Beast Boost already boosted their physical defense, and
It all
it
came to flinches and critical hits.
flinches, critical hits, possibly opened the door to struggle, and it was just a mess. I'm just glad
Which,
they both did not hold the leftovers. That would have been even worse.
right. Which luckily it did not come down to a struggle.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts about what you hope to see in future, like finals and senior matches in Generation 8?
Less deck attack and mirror battles.
Yes.
Um, what would I want to see? I would like to see more. I'm not gonna lie. I get excited seeing Smeargle actually in the championships for this. I would love to see more Smeargle. I'd like to see other Pokemon that have Intimidate other than just Cineroar. I know it might be the best Intimidate user in the game right now, but I'd like to see a little variety because there are
Well,
other Pokemon who can use it well.
oh well. I'm even though I do agree with you on that, I am just happy that Incineroar, in a lot of cases, replaced Landorus Therian form. After they brought out Therian form in Gen 5, it was on every single person's team in every single match. It was the Pokemon you had to have in order to win. Um, so I'm glad Incineroar was kind of sort of a replacement for Landorus.
Crystal has a little bit of pent up aggression against Landorus.
I just have a pent up aggression against Pokemon that are just on everyone's team.
Incineroar!
Well, yeah.
But going back to the first match of the 2 out of 3, one thing that really got me was the fact that they both carried Lovely Kiss on their Smeargle. And no matter what, neither player could land a single Lovely Kiss.
Oh, yeah,
Back
they both had Moody.
and they both had Moody. Which I think is a fun little ability, honestly.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's pretty random, but statistically proven to be a great ability. I believe they were both also holding the Focus Sash.
They were indeed.
So I think their Smeargle were either the same or pretty similar. I can't remember. I don't think all 4 moves were used by both Smeargle. And yeah, going back to what you said, it was interesting to see Smeargle still in this race after they gave Dark Void a huge nerf. I expected Smeargle's popularity to drop tremendously. I mean, it did drop, but not as much as I was expecting, honestly.
Right. I didn't expect it to be anywhere near this type of level of playing, but let alone to make it to the top final on both players' teams. That's crazy. And speaking of which, it's so weird seeing Serena on both players' teams as well. Even
Yeah,
though even though it was only brought once on Luke's team, he only brought it once. Okay, I take that back. I think Eduardo brought it in game 3, but I mean, it didn't really do too much. Yeah, it's nice that it's a queenly majesty ability, queen's majesty, whatever it is. What's the name of the ability, Crystal?
A queenly majesty.
Okay, I was right. Yeah, that blocked priority move. So that really helped whenever it came to stuff like fake out from Incineroar.
Oh yeah,
Um,
all this time I was trying to think of the purpose of Serena's appearance, and I would hope it was more than just a priority blocker for Fake Out and Sucker Punch. If so, then why wasn't Bruxish on a lot of teams with Dazzling, for example, or even more appearances from Tapu Lele? Um, so Serena had to be brought on to be a counter to something else as well. It has very high physical attack. I'm trying to look at the Pokemon to determine what's a countering. Do you have any initial ideas?
uh, I have no clue. Um, what's what's Xerneas's base defense? Which
Xerneas' base defense?
doesn't make any sense because they had Stakataka, which had Gyro Ball. So
Well,
that
I
would
don't
be what.
remember its defense specifically, but it was not the best stat, but it could at least take a hit. Okay, I'm just bringing up Smogon or Smogen, however our viewers want to say it. I'm going down here. Okay, I'm visiting Serena's page on Smogen. Okay, it was a good knockoffer, power whipper. Of course, you got to have knockoff on your team. That is a must have for any competitive team since items can be the death of you.
Which both Incineroar had knocked off as well.
Oh yeah, Incineroar must have knockoff.
Right.
Knockoff's a good move. Which kind of brings me into my first talking point about what I hope happens in Generation 8. I personally hope Knockoff and Sucker Punch get a slight nerf in Generation 8, so that way Pokemon like Jinx, Alakazam, Espeon can increase back in popularity, so that way they're not one-shotted before they even get a chance.
I agree completely. And I also thought it was funny during the matches. Lunala's Z move was basically to counter each other's Lunala. I thought that was great, which it pretty much knocked out one hit whenever they both used it.
Oh, yeah, and sorry, I just found out more information. Serena's also a good rapid spinner, so that was probably one of the main reasons with Queenly Majesty of why a lot of people brought it.
Okay.
Yeah, because of course Stealth Rocks could be the death of Incineroar.
Right.
But what are you hoping happens in Generation 8's competitive scene?
Um. Well, just like this this tournament showed, I just want to see more Pokemon that we're not used to seeing in competitive. I want Pokemon that aren't really used that much to get some type of boost in any way, shape, or form just to be able to use because a lot of Pokemon that people like, they just can't use because they're just not competitively viable. It'd just be, it'd bring a, like I mentioned earlier, I just want a lot of variety. And I think this would bring a lot of variety, bring more Pokemon that are able to be used competitively. Because I'm just tired of looking through a lot of lists and you might have maybe one, two, maybe three at the most differences in Pokemon when you see all the lists of the people who are in like the top 20, 25, and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, definitely agreed. Of course, we have over 800 Pokemon, so the variety is there, and it will continue to be there in Generation 8. It's just the competitive variety needs to step it up a bit. But I will give props to um, nerfing abilities and moves that needed nerfing, like Talonflames, Gale Wings needed that nerf. In X and Y, everyone had it on their team, and now they have Gale Wings nerfed to where Gale Wings only really works if Talonflame has full HP. And with Mega Kangaskhan, murfed, they murfed that um, parental bond ability. Instead of doing half damage for the second hit, I think it's like a quarter of a damage.
Yeah, I think
So,
it's
so both Pokemon really tumbled down Talonflame more tremendously after the nerf, and of course that Dark Void nerf was more than needed. I do hope um, Geomacy also gets nerfed just because of the Power Herb. It's very useful for Xerneas, and I think it just sets up Xerneas too much of a sweeper because its special attack's already high. Um, that one turn Geomacy just makes it incredibly high along with its speed and special defense. And then it also has Fairy Aura, so its Moonblast can essentially one shot too many Pokemon, in my personal opinion. And that's why I just feel like it just needs a small nerf. Possibly just eliminate the speed boost and just make it special attack and special defense.
yeah. I think all three of those stats being boosted. That's just a little too much for Geomancy. Even though it is a two-turn attack, well, without the power herb, that's still ridiculous. So yeah, I agree that Geomancy does need to get nerfed in some way, and I think taking off the increased speed would be a good way to do that.
Yeah, either that or um, nerf the power herb because one could argue they're just using Quiver Dance for 2 turns because that's what a 2-turn Quiver Dance would do. So if you wanted to look at the power herb, then I'm not really sure how you could nerf it. I mean, I guess you could always use it when you sacrifice a fraction of your HP, possibly. Or yeah. Maybe just the move needs nerf, not really so much the item. But going back to what we hope happens, of course, I agree with Chris. More Pokemon need to step up to competitive scene. We need to give Pokemon like Flygon and Claydol hidden abilities, increase in stats because they are falling a little bit flat nowadays. Back then they were, I don't want to say they were OU, but they were occasionally on people's competitive team. Now you'd be lucky to even see them on competitive teams.
That's true.
And of course, there's an item that I hope the Pokemon Company makes in particular. I want to see them make an item that essentially makes Pokemon immune or take neutral damage to attacks that are 4 times weak against it in exchange for something like 1/6 to 1/12 of their overall HP every time they're attacked by a quadruply effective move.
That's actually a really neat idea.
Or some kind of stat drop. But I think that would be pretty nifty. That would get Pokemon more competitive, like Excavalier. If we're allowed to put Hoopa into the ring. Yeah, Hoopa has 2 x 4 weaknesses, the only weaknesses it has. That would make Amoris more useful. Non-Mega Evolved
Yes.
Abominable. I just think it would be a really great item. Especially if you equip that to Lunala.
What is it 4 times weak to?
Lunala,
Yeah.
both Ghost and Dark.
Is it 4 times?
Yeah, because Ghost beats Ghost and a Psychic, Dark beats Ghost and a Psychic. But of course, even though Lunala would benefit from the item, I do hope. Even though I love Lunala, I think Shadow Shield should get a slight nerf as well. Really sure how to nerf it though. Well, I guess we can nerf it to where Shadow Shield can only be used once per match because, please correct me if I'm wrong, but if you recover Lunala's HP to full HP, then a Shadow Shield is essentially back up.
It is. It's just like multi-scale.
Okay, well, since Shadow Shield applies to both of the Pokemon in the double match, I think it should only be used once in the match and not recoverable, so to speak.
Okay. I can. Yeah. Yeah. I would say that's fair.
I mean, that's not really a big nerf since most people don't even attempt to heal their Lunala, but
It's still something.
oh yeah. And it will be a little bit easier to manage against, so that way you don't have to worry about a heal pulse team member or something. Or even arrest Lunala, that would be unique.
I want to see if somebody can actually run that.
I was actually thinking about it. Rest with Chestoberry, I believe, in which you wake up from being asleep. But of course, with knockoff on every team nowadays, it would be difficult to run that.
Yeah, on multiple Pokemon on every team nowadays.
Oh yeah, they just want to knock off your item and do that extra damage. They they would rather play it safe. They don't want to risk your item.
That's true. But still, knockoff needs a nerf.
Yeah, knockoff and sucker punch both need nerfs. Or I'm trying to think of what else do you think needs a nerf? Well, nothing in particular is coming to my head. Anything to yours?
Not really. Do you think Lovely Kiss should have its accuracy increased just a little bit?
Remind me the accuracy of Lovely Kiss. I only know like Sleep Powder and Spore and Dark Void.
Are they 100% accuracy?
Wait, what's 100%?
I asked if the ones that you just named were 100%.
Just Spore. Dark Void's about 50%, and Sleep Powder's 75%, I believe.
Okay, and Lovely Kiss is 75% as well.
And I am confusing Lovely with Sweets. Is Lovely Sleep or Confusion? We are terrible Pokemon players, not knowing the difference between sweet and lovely. I'll just look it up.
Um, it's fall asleep.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. For some odd reason, I was thinking confusion. Like, if you're running a confusion team, Swagger would probably be best. But you know what? I think I know why Smeargle carried on Lovely Kiss instead of a move like Sleep Powder. Because there are Pokemon more immune to powders than there are to kisses. Because they
Is
have the
that
same accuracy at 75.
that if is that really a thing?
Immune to powders.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I think going into Generation 6, X and Y, grass-type Pokemon were now immune to powders, and Pokemon with an ability like Overcoat were immune to powders.
Well, that explains why One Lovely Kiss was directed towards Serena in one of the matches, and it connected. So okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's just a slightly better version of Sleep Powder, but nothing really to write home about. But do you think Lovely Kiss needed nerfing or anything?
If anything, I'd say raise it a little bit.
Um,
Keep it or raise it to at least 80.
I think we should just keep it the way it is because it's just instant sleep. And once you put a Pokemon to sleep, you are crippling them tremendously in the competitive scene. Like, you can get several, like, swords dances in, nasty plots, and just screw them all over completely.
Unless somebody has Heal Bell.
Have you ever seen anyone use that competitively?
No clue, but I'm just saying it's an idea. It's there.
But actually, you know what? Do you know which Pokemon I'm a little shocked that wasn't competitive in this round?
What's that?
Honchkrow, Insomnia Honchkrow. There were a lot of sleep moves, and Insomnia negates that. There were a lot of Incineroar, Serena. Incineroar's dark moves don't do much against Honchkrow. Serena's pretty useless against Honchkrow. Most of the Pokemon use. Oh yeah, and Lunala has a times 4 weakness to Honchkrow and can't really do much damage to it. So that is the one Pokemon I'm kind of shocked wasn't a part of it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing Honchkrow anywhere in like the top 32 listings. It's not making. It didn't make a single appearance. Pokemon like Yveltal, got the tail, Crobat. Yeah, nothing. Gengar even made an appearance.
Well, regular or mega, or does that information not show?
It doesn't show.
Wait, were mega evolutions allowed?
I didn't see any.
I don't think megas were allowed. Because I remember Groudon was not in its primal form when I watched the video, so yeah, megas were not allowed. Primal. Oh yeah. I hope that they ban primals from the competitive scene, to be honest, just because everyone would be carrying primal Groudon and Kyogre and all their teams, and that we just need more usage of more diverse set of Pokemon, personally.
Agreed. Hey, Crystal, guess what else made an actual appearance?
I want to guess randomly Raichu.
Well, a Alolan, but that's not what I'm going for. But it is an electric type.
Which one's that?
Heliolisk.
That is very random, but I can understand why. It doesn't have too many weaknesses, and For multiple reasons, fighting type Pokemon were not really on the competitive scene as much, with the weakness to Fairy, everyone carrying at least one Pokemon with Intimidate. But yeah, that's both cool and random.
Both Clefairy and Hitmontop, not Clefable, Clefairy and Hitmontop as well.
Obviously holding the L Evolites. Yeah, I missed the whole Clefairy, but I saw Hitmontop. Um, just as like a backup Intimidator with Incineroar. And of course the counter Incineroar.
Right. It's just nice seeing all these Pokemon, all these ones that you're not used to seeing being used in such a big tournament like the Oceania Internationals, which it's just really cool to see.
Oh yeah, I
And
just want Pokemon to be exciting again. Back in X and Y during the first World Tournament. Well, either World or US. I want to say US. The main winner, I forget his name, I apologize, but he used a Pachirisu on his team, and even though it wasn't really a KO Pokemon, it was definitely a star player. He just raised it so cleverly. It was bulky with Citrus Berry, it had Follow Me, Volt Absorb, Nuzzle, Super Fang, and Protect. It was just genius. No one.
are you talking about the one that won the World Championships?
Oh, yeah, that was many years ago. Either World or US. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, Sajin Park won it with Pachirisu.
Yes, we need surprise victories like that again.
Agreed.
Pachirisu never crosses people's mind as a competitive Pokemon, and he worked it with it.
And like you said, won worlds with it. It's
Yeah,
just nice seeing shock Pokemon like that getting in, not only getting into tournaments like this, but actually winning them. And that's something I really want to see more of. And I know we didn't really cover much about the actual finals between Eduardo and Luke. It's on YouTube if anybody ever wants to watch it. I recommend um, skipping the first match because of the Stack Attack mirror match.
or at least watching it up until that point and then
Right.
just go to the end.
Right. Which that's the end. But yeah, but the other two matches were a lot faster and a lot more hard hitting, which was exciting to watch. Especially since they both, because the first match they brought the same four Pokemon. They brought Lunala, Incineroar, Smeargle, and Stack Attack. Both players brought those same four Pokemon.
Which I'm honestly a little shocked they did not bring the same four into the next matches because that's normally common in competitive battles. Normally, people recycle the same four that they use, so that was at least refreshing to see that they did not do that.
I'm guessing they did that because they were so limited on time because of how long that first match took. They wanted to try to make it to where they would still have enough time to play the other two matches. Well, at that time, you didn't know it was going to go to a round three, but still, yeah, it was very nice to see that they actually changed it up, which I'm really happy. I don't think there was a single Pokemon that we didn't see because we saw those four. Yeah, we saw Serena and we saw Xerneas as well. So all six made an appearance.
Oh yeah, which that was refreshing to see. But let's go back and talk about like what we hope to see more of and Generation 8 competitive scene. In addition to more variety, of course, I want to see new Pokemon from Generation 8 with unique type combinations making an appearance. We, of course, there's Rotom, but like I hope the Score Bunny line becomes part electric and it's pretty competitive and makes the scene. Um, some more unique items. Just overall,
Abilities that nerf current abilities that are mostly overused now. You know, to where less people will bring the same flipping ability. All I'm saying is I want less intimidate.
Well,
It's possible.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely possible, but I'm trying to think how they would even nerf Intimidate, because it's like using Growl when you enter the battlefield.
Well, okay, I'm just saying this. Bring Hyper Cutter. Or use
Clear Body?
well, not Clear Body, the one that brings special Pokemon. That way you can use the ability where if your attack lowers, your special attack goes up.
Oh, that's competitive. I believe that's competitive. Literally, the ability is called competitive.
I can't remember the name of it.
Well, it doesn't have to be physical attack, but just any stat, and your special goes up. I remember Wigglytuff has it, and I think Gothitelle as well. Um,
I
I want,
think I think Milotic has it as well, I think.
but I honestly think we have a good amount of abilities that can counter Intimidate, just not enough Pokemon that are viable with them. Competitive would be great. Defiance, great, but only really Bisharp and possibly Braviary are the best Pokemon for that. Then there's Contrary, which is wonderful with Malamar. And Superior,
Yeah, but
but
that can do up as well. It's just like Moody. It's just one of
okay,
those chance abilities.
but I think it's more beneficial than it's a hindrance for Contrary, since
Yeah.
most often your stats tend to go down in competitive battles instead of up, so it's definitely a good counter. Um, oh yeah, and Shuckle also has Contrary, so I think these screw intimidate abilities need to increase in frequency. I wish we had an ability like Magic Bounce that applied to status lowering moves. Oh yeah, and of course Clear Body is pretty useful as well. Uh, And please correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't have an ability that's like Magic Bounce for Intimidate, right?
We do not.
That's needed in the competitive battle scene. 110% to
What about
bounce.
something like Synchronize for abilities?
Synchronize. Oh, like if you lower my attack, yours also gets lowered.
Yes.
I believe that would definitely be called for. It makes sense, definitely, but I don't think that would be too competitive since you are relying on them to lower your stats, which I mean it's better than some abilities like slow start, but
You know what I'm thinking? We should have an ability that allows your Pokemon to copy your Pokemon anytime it gets a stat boost or decrease.
so essentially a Pokemon with Psych Up as their ability.
Like anytime, let's just say your opponent uses a power up punch and gains an attack, your Pokemon also gains that attack.
I think a Pokemon like that would have to be fairly weak in order to be controlled well with that ability, but yes, I agree.
Even then, yeah, make it weak. It doesn't. It's just a cool idea for an ability.
Oh yeah, and I kind of want to see a Smeargle-like Pokemon having the ability to have any Pokemon ability in existence. Instead of just like sketching any moves, sketch your ability.
That's a cool idea. That's a really cool idea.
But of course, it has to be weak like Smeargle, so it can be controlled well. We don't want Wonder Guard, Shadow Shield, that kind of stuff being too overwhelming for that Pokemon.
True. But still, I want to see that.
But do you have any final thoughts or comments on Generation 8 and what we hope to see?
As of right now, I don't. What about you?
I just want dramatic change. That's the bottom line I'm getting to. Just a huge flip that no one saw coming. I want to see a whole lot of different Pokemon items, abilities. Oh my. um,
Can I say something?
yeah.
Make Pokemon competitive great again.
Yes, that is like anyone who is and is not political should be able to agree with that. That is something we need. We had more competitive um, diversity in Generation 1 tournaments, in my opinion. But yeah, I guess
Ugh,
we'll just wrap it up. Any final comments?
I hate Intimidate. There is my final comment.
Okay, and what a wonderful final comment that is. So without further ado, thank you all so much for listening to the Pedal Dance podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, share, etc. And you all have a great day and night whenever.
And like Crystal said before in past videos, anytime you have an idea for a topic you want us to go over, discuss, talk about just in general, just feel free to leave it in the comments and we'll heavily consider it. And by that that means we'll just pass it and just ignore it. So
Yep, we are heartless people like that. But until next time.
bye.